Hello, guys, and welcome back to Simplified Me. If you're new here, welcome. Today, I'm going to show you guys how I decorated my birthday cake, and I will also be sharing with you all how it was almost a complete disaster. So, let's get right into it. So, the first thing you're going to do is use tape to secure your cake board so that it doesn't slide around while you're decorating the cake. Once that is done, you're going to use a little bit of your buttercream, spread it on the cake board again to make sure that the cake doesn't move around during the decorating process. And then the next step is to place your first layer on the board so that buttercream is going to be acting as the glue so that your cake stays in place. So before I start working on the cake and while I'm prepping the flowers for decorating, I'm going to explain to y'all how this cake almost turned into a disaster. The night before my birthday, I started baking the cakes, right? I made a basic vanilla cake, so I had 3 layers. And while I was waiting for the cakes to cool, I decided to work on the buttercream because I decided that, okay, tomorrow's my birthday, so I just want to wake up the next morning, lay in bed all day eating cake and just enjoying my day. So I started working on the buttercream. I was going to make American buttercream for this cake, which is what I always do. So the simple butter and icing sugar and a little bit of milk. But right in the middle of making this buttercream, it started curdling. Like it was a curdled cottage cheese looking mess. I don't even know how that happened. I can't even begin to explain how it happened because this was the same buttercream recipe that I've been using since I learned how to make buttercream, but it just wasn't coming out right. So naturally I went on YouTube to look for some solutions, right? But everything that I found on YouTube was not working. I tried heating it, I tried cooling it, I tried all sorts of things, and I started to panic. So that's when I just decided, you know what, if this doesn't come out right, I'll probably just eat the cakes as they are without any frosting. And because I was super tired, I spent hours making the cakes, like about 4 hours just baking the cakes. And when the buttercream started acting up, I was just like, I'm gonna leave it and I'm gonna go to bed and I'll see it the next morning. Because it's always good to sleep on something, right? And not make hasty decisions. If you cannot make a decision in that moment, just sleep on it because the next morning there's probably gonna be a solution. So I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up and I decided that I was gonna add more icing sugar to the buttercream. So that kind of helped a little bit, not a lot. It kept separating, so I just decided I'm gonna work with it as it was, and then I would see what would happen. But as you can see here, it was not working at all. It kept sliding all over the place like nobody's business. So I decided that I was just gonna spread a layer of buttercream before I put the actual filling, and then I put the buttercream I was working with, I put it in the freezer so it would just like firm up a bit because I thought maybe it was just too liquidy. So I decided I would put it in the fridge and then see if it would be better to work with. So this is after I took it out of the freezer. As you can see now, it's a bit firm and it was kind of better to work with in that way. So in this step right here, I'm just making a dam for the filling. This is gonna help keep your filling inside of the cake and not flowing out when you start decorating. So I'll show you guys what this looks like from the top. You're just going around the border of your cake, piping the buttercream twice, And then when you're done with that, you're going to take your offset spatula and you're just going to press the inside of your dam like this. And when you're done, you will just go around once more, just, you know, like that, what I'm doing. I don't even know what that's called. I'm not a baker, guys. I'm just a baker wannabe, so excuse me if I'm not using the right terminology. So anyway, the filling that I used was just whipped cream mixed with mixed fruit jam. So when you're satisfied with the amount of filling that you used, you just spread it around and then you place your cake on top. And then you're just gonna close up the gaps like what I'm doing right now so that that filling stays inside. Once I finished closing up the gaps, I took it and I put it in the freezer so that it would firm up a little bit. Look at that lopsided mess. It's kind of looking like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Oh my goodness, guys, this cake gave me a headache. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. It was the most difficult cake that I've ever made. So as you guys noticed, I put a skewer in the middle of the cake just to keep it in place because this buttercream was like melting so fast even if I kept putting the cake in the freezer. So I put that skewer in the middle so that it would just, you know, stay in place while I do the crumb coat. The purpose of the crumb coat is to just hold the crumbs in place, so to speak, because when you go to do that final layer of buttercream, your final coat, you don't want any crumbs in it. So make sure that when you're doing this step, you're scraping off the excess buttercream into a separate plate or dish, whatever you're using, from the one that you're gonna use on the final coat, because you don't want to mix the two. You don't want to mix the buttercream that has crumbs with the buttercream that you're gonna use for the final coat. I don't even know if I'm making sense right now, but I hope you guys understood that. When you're done with that, and once you're satisfied with your crumb coat layer, you just put your cake in the freezer so that it firms up before you do the final coat. So I took the cake out of the freezer after about 15 minutes, and now I'm starting to work on the final layer. So what I ended up doing with this is I mixed whipped cream with the buttercream that I'd made because it was going to be hard to work with the buttercream as it was. So this turned out way better to work with than that curdled mess that I had at the beginning. So here I'm just using the bench scraper to get a clean finish to this cake. You just kind of, you know, see where there are gaps and you just go back adding more buttercream there and just, you know, going back around with your bench scraper until you get a clean finish. I couldn't achieve that because I'm just a beginner and this is hard. I had been standing for like 6 hours, so I was kind of tired, and as you can see I didn't even bother to move the camera. Sorry guys. But yeah, anyways, it takes time. This process takes time to get that clean finish. Unless you're a professional, I'm sure it takes like, you know, a minute. So let me just take this moment to appreciate my favorite cake decorator on YouTube. Her channel name is Bake My Day Mimo. You guys should check her out. Everything that I know about cakes, everything that I learned about decorating cakes, I learned it from her. So she's amazing. I sent her a message showing her the cake, this cake that I made, and she responded and she said it was great. So guys, I'm just a happy subscriber here. You should go check her out if you want to learn more about decorating cakes. So when I was done with that, I took the cake and I put it in the freezer again just to firm up before I started the decorating process. So for this cake, I used elderberry flowers. As you guys saw in the beginning, I made sure that I washed them thoroughly. I washed them twice. You always want to make sure that if you're going to use edible flowers, you have to make sure that they're completely clean, that there aren't any insects on the bottom of the leaves or the bottom of the flowers or anything. So make sure that you wash your flowers thoroughly. And if you're going to work with edible flowers, make sure also that before you put them in the cake, you wrap them with, what do they call it? I think it's floral tape, or I don't know. It's this tape that bakers use on flowers if they're gonna use flowers for decorating. Use that tape. I didn't have that tape, so I had to work with what I got. I just used cling foil or cling wrap. I wrapped it tightly around the stems of the flowers before I put them in the cake. And then I took some of the leaves and I dusted them with edible copper dust. And also, as you can see, some of the elderberry flowers are dusted with this copper dust. At first, I didn't even know that I was going to use these leaves, but as it turned out, I had something to use them for. So it turned out great. I didn't have this vision for my cake in mind, but at the end, this was the final product. It's kind of looking like the Amazon rainforest. But anyways, guys, this is the final product. And even though I wasn't completely satisfied with the final look of this cake, the cake tasted amazing. So yeah, that's all. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you would like to see more of these kinds of videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Click that notification bell so that you get notified every time that I post a video. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. In the meantime, make good choices.